Well, thank you, Chair. I appreciate that. So I guess my first question will be to Mr. Harris. From my understanding, is it true that some case managers have actually been disciplined because they've given out their direct phone line to the veteran so the veteran doesn't have to go through the call center? And that often their reason for giving them the number is to avoid the veterans being triggered and having to retell their story at the call center to an agent. So I'm just trying to clarify if there's a disciplinary action and why is that the case when case managers give out their direct desk phone line to veterans?
I'm not aware of any disciplinary action. Our guidance that's issued to case managers and others is that staff members are permitted to share their VAC assigned numbers with their clients and their representatives when it's appropriate. And that decision should be made on a case-by-case basis and involve their manager. The issue we want to ensure is that a veteran who reaches in, if they're using a personal phone number, like an assigned work phone number, for a Veterans Affairs agent, be it that a case manager or a veteran service agent, we want to make sure that they get their call answered. And it's possible that they could call a direct line to a case manager, as an example, and that case manager is away on leave in some way, shape, or form. And if that is not updated appropriately, as opposed to voicemail or what have you, that veteran's call could just go into a voicemail box and maybe not be responded to immediately. So that's why we try and direct people through the contact center to make sure that whatever their need may be on that particular day, that they'll get responded to in an answer.
So am I to understand then that if a member goes on leave for whatever reason, their voicemail wouldn't regularly be checked with their absence?
It may not always be checked. So what we would ask is that members who go on leave, our case managers or others who go on leave in their voicemail who would be directed to follow up with. And so there are other contact numbers that may include calling to our 1-800-NCCN number. If they're going to be away for a period of time, it is possible if somebody leaves unexpectedly and is away for a couple of days, is not able to update it. It certainly is, of course, our guidance and our training that people update their out of office information, be that email, be that phone, or otherwise, to indicate who should be contacted in their absence.
Thank you. So since recordings are not currently used, which again, I think is a massive concern, and when you call and it does say it's going to be recorded, they often say that this is for quality assurance. So if calls are not measured or not recorded for some sort of internal quality assurance control, what is the process? Because what I'm hearing right now is that the only quality assurance is done through just the calls that come into the call center. So how do you know that services are being delivered the best way if there's no recording?
So we do quality assurance on the calls that come into our National Client Contact Center. That was indicated before. We do review those calls and work with our frontline agents.
And I understand that, but I'm talking about the case manager component.
So for the case managers and others, the distinction is in terms of recording those calls, you don't necessarily record your phone calls with your doctor. You don't necessarily record your phone calls with your lawyer, and some of these are similar type conversations. The second part is we don't record in-person meetings. We don't record transition interviews. We don't record a whole host of other interactions. And so recording only phone calls would be only one way of looking at it.
So,
but I could speak to the quality assurance.
So I guess my next question, I think I've got it. Thank you, Mr. Harris. I appreciate that. And thank you to the chair for his patience with me. I understand that. So I guess my next question is around so how does quality assurance happen? And I guess I'm going to switch that up a little bit, because how does the department, in terms of quality assurance, measure that the training that is self-directed, that you do individually online, how is it measured if that information has actually been absorbed by the member? How do we, or the case manager, how does the department know that that person has understood it and is actually taking that training? Because I remember in October the 20th, I asked specifically around training for people who are dealing with members of the public that have experienced trauma. Trauma-informed services are really important, especially for veterans. And quite frankly, with what we're hearing, somebody really fell off and was not doing what they should have been doing. So how do you know, how does the department know that the information from this training, which let's look at it, how long is this training on suicide? An hour and a half. How do we know that it's actually been absorbed and is being used if there's no form of quality assurance that is even once in a while recording? And the second part of that is there any way for a veteran to say, I want this conversation recorded?
So my reply would be lengthy. We probably don't have time to go all through it. What I would say is we do quality reviews and quality assurance on client notes. We do compile lists of people who have completed that self-directed training. So we do ensure that even if it's self-directed, somebody actually has to fill out that they've completed that self-directed training. And then we do regular performance reviews with individual clients and others, individual employees and others as well. So there's a number of regular check-ins to make sure that A, training is being completed, B, training is being absorbed and applied in the appropriate way, in the way in which they would be interacting with veterans, including things like client notes and others along the way. That's sort of a very short answer to what would be otherwise a long one.